So how do you decide how close to stick to historical facts and what to change in the show?
You know, if they're good and juicy, we stick to them. And we haven't really changed history too much, but we've created events in between these historical signposts.
You guys argue over what you can alter in terms of historical?
We haven't altered that much, to be honest. I mean, we'll argue over what we want to play, what we think is relevant to a story, and we'll get into kind of healthy debates over what each character's perspective might be on that event. But we're a happy writing staff, so we don't argue that much. I heard between Kenna and Bash. Can I speak to it? Yeah.
So does that mean that you're kind of putting the triangle to rest for a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I think we put it to rest last year. I think that Mary and Bash will always have a bond. I think that, it's always going to be a struggle for Bash to find his place in that world, his place at court. And, this season he's married to a wife who surprisingly loves him but is ambitious as hell. And, that she's going to put pressure on him that's going to cause conflict with, not just with the king, but with other power players at court. Because there's a rise of these lords. There's this Lord Narcisse character who's coming. And then there's a character named Condi who will be at court. And they will be kind of representing the face of really the power players beyond the walls of the castle, and as well as the Catholic and Protestant tensions of the time. So Bash is going to be, trying to do his best for his brother, and Mary and Francis will be navigating their relationship. But I think they've moved past the triangle, and so have we. That's not to say that Mary and Francis's relationship won't be tested by other people in other ways.
With Henry dying and Francis becoming king, will that have an impact on Francis and Mary's dynamic in their relationship?
Yeah, I think it will. I mean, mostly because he killed his mother, and he can't tell anyone that because it would, it's the kind of thing that could get him beheaded, but could also get Mary beheaded as well. So he's protecting her by not telling her. Oh, good, Megan's coming.
I've also got MeganFollows here.
Hello, guys. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Hey.
How are you?
I'm sort of blinded from flashbulbs and.
You look good. I'm sorry, I forgot the question. I was so excited Megan joined.
The dynamic with Francis and Mary now that.
Yeah, I think they have brutal jobs, and his job is solely to rule France. She still has kind of two jobs. She needs to rule France well, to build up a base that can support her. But she's Elizabeth kind of lurks in the wings, and she's also a woman, and she has to protect herself. And so she, while she's trying to protect her marriage and protect Francis, she also has to protect herself.
I guess there might be some strain as well with the baby and Francis and him leaving there at the end.
Can you say?
Sorry, with Francis leaving to go check on Lola and the baby, will that have an impact on their relationship as well?
Oh yeah, and I think that Mary and Lola are going to do their best to remain friends and to be the best husband. I think they're very concerned, rightly so, that they're going to fall into the footsteps of Catherine de Medici and Diane de Poitiers, and where there's a natural rivalry there for the king's attentions and affections and loyalty.
Question: what attracted you to your character when you first got the role? What was it that excited you about it?
You were so fun in the audition.
I found her funny. I have to say, I found her kind of delicious. I found her.
Delicious?
Yeah, I did. I do. I think she's kind of coy. She's very playful. She's very dangerous. She's very powerful, but she can't go through I always say she can't go through the front door with her power. So she has to go around, and that makes her even more dangerous because it's not straightforward. Her sense of right and wrong and loyalty is very straightforward, but she's also a negotiator. I think in a different world, in a different time, she might have been an incredible diplomat. Believe it or not, when she wasn't poisoning people.
Or assassin.
Or assassin.
Or just a really good mom.
An assassin diplomat. Loving mom. She's got a lot of those. Yeah. Well, she needs Mary to do well, and she needs Mary to do her job well, because Mary is also really a support to Frances, I think. So it's, I'm sure I am also trying to find a way that I'm going to be able to manipulate her, because I feel I know best. So that will be an interesting, I'm sure, kind of butting of heads of who actually knows best, who's right, and the best way to do that and achieve it. And we don't always agree, most definitely, on those areas.
Do you think Catherine's desire for Francis to be king was more motivated by her love for him and wanting him to have power, or another way for her to have power?
Well, I think it's the only way for her to have power, first of all. And because she had so many sons and children, she guaranteed that power for herself. Against a lot of odds, against a husband who was deeply in love with another woman, who had children with other women. So that was... I think, but she did certainly, and which is historically true, get herself a little kind of contractual queen consort, queen regent, so that no matter, she had power, because her children were young too when they took power, and she knew that. So and in truth, Frances was they were all very close to their mother. She had a lot of power over the children.
Sorry? You might.
I know.
You might.
Scary.
I'm not promising, but you might. There'll be other, there'll be other haunting figures at court, and they'll all be rooted in, in guilt and shame. So that it's very much a haunting season. It's a season of haunted characters. People who have committed a lot of sins in the past, but they've also survived the plague. There's a lot of death around, and there's kind of a mass hysteria. There's a belief among the survivors, particularly among the village people, that they're spirits that were not treated well in life, and they were treated even less well in death. And where do they go?
What kind of hints can you give us about season 2? You like a rat?
That was one. Yes.
Overall.
New players. We talk about. There are new players. There are new players at court that are going to, step into stories that have are political intrigue, but also sexual intrigue, romantic intrigue. There's a new kind of bad guy in town who's very complicated, very complex. He'll keep you guessing as to how bad he is, and he's going to start a very kind of cagey dance with Catherine de Medici, but also maybe one of Mary's ladies. And Mary and Francis's marriage will be tested over the course of the season, and there are different versions of marriage, and we might see other versions of their marriage as well.